A very good afternoon to one and all present here. On behalf of Medicaps Innovation and Incubation Center and e-cell of Medicaps University, I, Dr. Anjali Soni, welcome all of you in today's webinar on Essential of Entrepreneurial University and Academic Entrepreneurship. First of all, I am pleased to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D.K. Patnaik, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. D.K. Panda, Registrar, Dr. Pratiman Yadav, today's speaker, Shri Deepan Sahu, all the deans, all the head of the department, head of MMIC, Dr. Sarita Kansal, head of E-Cell, Professor Ramjan Singh Sir, all the faculty members, and all the participants. Medicaps is one of the brand name in the arena of technical education and is contributing in making Indore an educational hub. Since July 2000, Medicaps aims at creating an ideal ambience for budding technocrats and helping them to grow like true professionals. In year 2015, we got the approval from UGC to be a self-financed university, and admission for same started in 2016. Since then, we have included many courses other than engineering like management, agriculture, pharmacy, commerce, science, arts, etc. Since we have created our own brand in the Central India, till date, more than 12,000 students have been passed out from Medicaps and are working globally, and 7,000 students currently studying in various programs. Now I request Surikant sir to share a video to showcase Medicaps University at a glance. Over to Surikant sir. Thank you, sir. Surikant sir. Now, I invite Dr. Sarita Kansal, Professor in Charge, Medicaps Innovation and Incubation Center, to have an insight about MIIC. Over to Sarita ma'am.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. I welcome all the dignitaries. Today, I am here to introduce you about the Medicaps Innovation and Incubation Center, MIIC. It is established in the year 2018 with the aim of provoking innovation and backing startups. We believe in setting the stage for energetic, enthusiastic, and aspiring entrepreneurs. We encourage talents, innovators, and opportunity is provided to the potential change makes of the industry, thereby contributing towards a positive change. It supports technical ventures and lab stage innovations. This paves the path for the potential business ideas to reach to the market. MIIC is also associated with Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and actively participating in the events and follow the calendar on regular basis. We are fortunate enough to have Shri Deepan Sahu sir with us. Sir, we have conducted psychosomatic tests in our campus and around 300 faculty members participated in the test. I have also shared the result of the faculty members with you as well. It is the demand of the nation, society, and the academic institute to understand the importance of innovation and startups. In view of this, today's webinar named Essentials of Entrepreneurial University and Academic Entrepreneurship is planned. So our speaker will give more insight of this. Without wasting much time, I am giving the mic to our moderator, Dr. Anjali Soni. Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, madam. Okay. Now, I'm so much pleased to invite Pro Vice Chancellor of Medicaps University, Dr. D.K. Panda, to share his kind word with us. Over to sir.
Good afternoon to everybody. I welcome to all of you to this webinar, and I welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dilip K. Patnaik, and I also welcome our speaker, Sri Dipen Sahu, to this particular webinar, and all the participants. I hope this webinar is going to be very useful and knowledgeable things for all of us. All the participants who are gathered here must take all the essence of this particular webinar, all the information that is going to be make you knowledgeable. And rest thing is that you be sure that this type of webinar is going to be always helpful to all of your academic career, because once you are in a professional field, you have the quality to be an entrepreneur. But sometimes you are in this particular academic field, you need to graduate your students how to cultivate the entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial behavior of the students can be inculcated to a future entrepreneur. And that thing, once we are going to be discuss how it is going to be academic entrepreneurship to be going to be helpful for all the teachers, that they can modulate their or they can integrate their teaching style to for the students, by which one can be not a job seeker, he may be a job giver. So with these viewers, I am showing my gratitude to our speaker, Dipen Sahu. He is taking his very scheduled time to give us this valuable time for our faculty members and all the participants. I welcome all of you and hope that this will be a very successful webinar for all of you. Thank you all. And I'm taking pardon because I'm very much busy. I will not continue for much more time. I maybe stay for your another 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will ask our speaker that he will let me go because I'm a little bit busy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and to grace the session. Thank you, sir. Now, we have with us today's speaker, Shri Dipen Sahu, to guide us on essential of entrepreneurial, university, and academic entrepreneurship. Shri Dipen Sahu started his career as a social entrepreneur and then turned to a policy entrepreneur, having more than 10 years of experience in policy design, implementation in the domain of innovation, and startup ecosystem development in higher educational institutions. He is working as Assistant Innovation Director at Innovation Cell of Ministry of Education, housed at AICTE, New Delhi, with a mission to make Indian higher educational institutions innovative and entrepreneurial through policy intervention. He manages a portfolio of policy programs related to innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship promotion at the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and AICTE. He is the core team member for the implementation of the National Innovation and Startup Policy for higher educational institutions. He is also playing a lead role in designing and implementing other major national policy initiatives such as Atal Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Achievement, Institutions Innovation Council, and introduction of a new academic program, MBA in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development in HEIs, to offer and produce job creators from academic institutions while making Indian higher education innovative and entrepreneurial. It's my immense pleasure to invite such a dynamic personality to have a session on entrepreneurship. Over to Shri Dipen Sahu, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And also my sincere thanks to the top authority of Medicaps University, Professor Dilip Kumar Patnaik sir and Professor Devendra Kumar Panda sir, and also the IIC members, faculty members, experts, student members, and also all the fraternity, the faculty fraternity at Medicap University. Those are part of this webinar. And the webinar topic is on essentials of the entrepreneurial university and academic entrepreneurship. So topic seems very, uh, it's very specific, but it has lots of dimensions to understand and to implement. So today we will go through a kind of a process of reviewing that actually what we are doing at present in our university, like consider the Medicap University, and also we have to ask ourselves that actually are we able to in the line of or in the tune of moving towards an entrepreneurial university, and also are we really meeting the criteria of the academic entrepreneurship or not. Then I think this validate this self-assessment process that we will go for next one hour actually will help us. It will actually enlighten us that actually where we stand today, and actually where we are, we have not initiated the work and we should start this work. So this is not just simply a one way of the things, but actually I want to carry this session as like of when I will talk something, you have to have your pen and paper ready, and you will ask that questions to yourself first, then you will ask these questions from the perspective of the university. So then you will get the right answer or the point, and you have to assign certain marks to for that question. And at the end we will ask, or we will first at the end we will let know that actually where we stand today to meet these two criteria of entrepreneurial university and the academic entrepreneurship. So let me share my presentation to you all. So please confirm, because I started sharing, please confirm that is it visible to you all? Is it
Yes,
yes,
yes.
now it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So today's topic, that is on entrepreneurial university and the academic entrepreneurship. So first we will understand actually what does it mean by entrepreneurial university, and also what are the components that constitutes this entrepreneurial university approach. So let's first understand the basic things that actually, which is I think most of us actually finds some confusion to answer these two things. So there are two concepts is there. One is enterprise concept and is entrepreneurship concept. So enterprise concept actually it involves, or it constitutes, it includes two things. That is the person or the individual. Those are the part of developing the enterprise, and the mindset, right? So there are two things. One is called enterprise, means the person or the individual who has that skill set or the attribute or the behavior and the motivation to pursue the entrepreneurship. And second one is called the mindset. So that means you have the action, but to make that action to happen, you need the mindset. So these two things has to be come together, and which fulfills this enterprise concept. Whereas the entrepreneurship concept says that when a person has the right attitude and the behavior and also the motivation with proper mindset, and when they will start applying these personal enterprising skills or attributes and the mindsets, and develop a new venture, we call it is entrepreneurship. So this enterprise and entrepreneurship are and it only happen when the individual will have this skill set and the mindset. So this is the common requirement, and we can fit this concept to anywhere in any organization, be it is a higher educational institution, or it is a normal it is a business context, or in the educational context. So now we will fit this concept to the educational context. So the question is that actually do we need our university to become to behave like an entrepreneurial university? The answer is actually very much indeed, and it is required, because in the today's context, in the market competition, you will see that in India itself we have more than 51,000 higher educational institutions, and the students those are studying in these higher educational institutions, actually they are not at par with the industry requirement. And if you will talk about the global level, there are n number of higher educational institutions are there, and everybody survive, and their survivability depends on the quality and the input quality input of the students intake. So if one university will, or one educational institutions will not get the quality student as an intake or as an input, then the chances of survival for long term is a question mark. So how you will get the how you will attract and retain the quality students to get admit into your institutions? It will only happen when they will feel it worth to pursue in your institute. That means when they will get into admission, they will get a better perspective, they will get the better value proposition of the money they are going to spend as a tuition fee, or as the time, also the value for time also, because they are going to spend more than 3 years or 4 years, a kind of timeline. So value for time, value for money, and also once they will graduate, so their employability and the skill set will also going to count, that they will and from where they will get from the already graduates or exit students. So now in the today's world, everything is connected. So students, they do lots of homework before they select one institute for their higher studies. So to address all these things, I think our institutions also has to be react reciprocally, and also they have to come up and they have to adopt the market changes, right? And in today's context, the entrepreneurship and innovation is the key for survival, and now it is a necessity and essential for the survival in the market. And that's why all higher education institutions have to acquire and adopt this kind of entrepreneurship and innovation approaches in their institute. And generally it happens, and it emerges when the situation, or when the condition is bit complex, and there is a high uncertainty about the resources and the environment. And in that cases, actually it is very much suitable to approach entrepreneurially. So that's why I think this is very, very important. And it's not only to the survivability of the institute, it's also the contributing to the nation's economy, contribute to the regional economy, contribute to the wealth generation of the individuals. Also, all these things can be achieved if our universities, if our higher educational institutions will behave like an entrepreneur, and they will act like a entrepreneur, and they will adopt the innovation strategy. So this is very, very essential for now each and every higher education institutions to become entrepreneurial. Now comes to the what is the ecosystem actually generally one university entrepreneurial university ecosystem consisting of these major stakeholders. So consider in one university, who are the stakeholders generally? Obviously the students, they are the prime stakeholders, and the promoters or the authorities, top authorities, those are actually setting the norms, and those are developing the guidelines, and those are maintaining the discipline, and also those are enforcing creating and enforcing the system. So one is called the student in one extreme. Those are actually, they come and they learn and they practice, and they exit. So student comes in and go, but the other extreme is called the top authorities of the institute. Those actually helps in setting up the norms and the guidelines and the principles and the mechanisms to run the system very efficiently. So top authorities and the students. And who are the other stakeholders? I'm talking only about the the stakeholders within the university system. So now student and top authority. So there are another stakeholder called the faculties and the staffs. So faculty and staffs, they are also the key stakeholder to this ecosystem, and they constitute the within the internal ecosystem. It's an internal participants or international stakeholder ecosystem. But there are other type of stakeholders actually need to integrate if we want to build a good university entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that includes the peripheral stakeholders. They are quite internal, but actually they are adjunct to the institute, like incubation unit. The incubation unit, the pre-incubation unit, we set up as a separate entity with lots of autonomous and lots of freedom within the institute boundary or near to the institute campus to facilitate the flow of the knowledge. So they constitute the research part or incubation unit or the incubation facility, pre-incubation facility. They comes under the peripheral internal stakeholders, whereas there are another set of stakeholders like external stakeholders. So mostly they are the ecosystem enablers, they are the knowledge enablers, they are the other institutions or industry associations. Even they constitute the startup community. Those are located in that region or the system where that institute operates in. So I have explained there are two types of stakeholder. One is called internal stakeholder, and there is an external stakeholder, and there is, to bridge the gap, there is called a peripheral stakeholder. So peripheral stakeholder have the capacity and also they have the competency to connect and to bridge this external stakeholder and the internal stakeholders. So these are the stakeholder mapping, right? So how we are going, how they actually move forward to establish the ecosystem. So the stakeholders has to take the responsibility and they have to conduct the programs and the activities. So we call these activities and the programs as called the activity entrepreneurship and innovation activities. So they conduct the lots of numbers of awareness programs. They conduct training programs. They also conduct the workshops. They conduct the exhibitions. So they conduct this kind of innovation, entrepreneurship, and intellectually property generation activities in the campus around the year. So that these activities actually provides an engagement platform to all these stakeholders to come, engage, and experience and practice innovation, entrepreneurship, and intellectual property related activities. So to have this kind of ecosystem, all these stakeholders has to be categorized, and they should be given with the specific roles and the responsibilities. And these stakeholders also, they have to conduct certain activities as per the categorization and assigned as the roles assigned to them. So once this kind of activities will continue in the ecosystem, then there is a emergence of a certain category of the students and the faculties, also the staff. Those have actually, after getting the lots of awareness and information, they elevated from the position of a normal student and the faculty to a academic entrepreneur. So the academic entrepreneurs are the students or the faculties or the staff. Those act beyond or move a step forward from the normal activities, generally the teaching and the learning. So they start engaging in generation of the innovation, and also they start practicing entrepreneurship, or they start engage in the commercialization of the technologies developed in the institute and licensing these technologies to the industry. So especially this kind of students, faculties, and the staff, those engage in these specific activities, we call them academic entrepreneurs, and also we call them the potential entrepreneurs. Generally, they make the team, or they tie up, or they form a team with the external entrepreneurs, especially the startups, and they start their entrepreneurship journey. So this is what the one university entrepreneurial ecosystem consisting of, and the stakeholders, their roles and the responsibilities. So I think this model will help you to visualize what the ecosystem is. Now comes to the specific to the every person. Those have elevated to this position of the academic entrepreneurship. So The persons or the individuals, we call them academic entrepreneur, and the process we call the academic entrepreneurship, and where they locate, we call them entrepreneurial university. So these academic entrepreneurs, they perform two things simultaneously. One thing, they fulfill the academic requirement. They also accomplish the academic process, academic accomplishment achievements, and also they pursue the entrepreneurship. Generally, in the academic, for the academic like activities, they generally engage in teaching, publishing the paper, conducting the research, learning, and connect with the industry or connect with the other research stakeholders and with the other departments. Whereas entrepreneurship activities, or that includes that they have to identify the business opportunity, they have to collaborate with the business and industry partners, they have to get incubation support in the incubation unit, and also they have to conduct the applied research rather than the more as a basic research, and they have to come up with a solution to that problem, and they have to engage with the society or the industry, and also they have to acquire the necessary skill set on the management and entrepreneurial ability, so that they will start their they will establish the startup, and they will carry out the venture related activities. So academic entrepreneurs may be the student or faculty or combined of the student and faculty team, and they pursue these two things simultaneously or one after another. Like once they complete the academic, they will shift into the entrepreneur line, or they complete both academic and entrepreneurship simultaneously. This is one of the established model I researched, and I think this is quite valid, valid framework that can applicable to the any higher educational institutions. So the first thing is that if we want to make our university entrepreneurial, also connect with the academic entrepreneurship with a outcome or result oriented approach, then the first one is called the institutionalizing the whole thing at the university level. And that can be done, that can be achieved by developing conducive policies and the guidelines at the university level, and actually that activate the academic entrepreneurship or the ecosystem of the institute. And when through policy we try to enhance the capability and also the interest among the stakeholders, especially the internal stakeholders, and having a activate ecosystem with the capability and the interest of the stakeholders, when all these three things combine and combine together or come together, that generate successful innovations, that generate successful entrepreneurs, also the startups from the academic setup. So this is the what the model of academic entrepreneurship, which integrate the entrepreneurial university. Also it ensures a outcome oriented approach for academic entrepreneurship. What I have explained so far is the only models and the approaches. In the next slide, or from next slide onwards, I will start focusing on that is developed by European Commission and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. So I hope you all know this European Commission and OECD. These are the two organizations, multilateral organizations, and they have studied more than 200 universities across the world, and they have developed a guiding framework that how one university become entrepreneurial. I am going to explain this, but I will not just give a lecture. I will explain just this after this slide. I will ask questions, and you have to ask these questions to yourself, and we have to validate that what is this entrepreneurial university it is, and actually in Medicap University this is applicable or not. So that things we have to find out. So as per the OECD framework and European Commission framework for the entrepreneurial university, it suggests the seven stages every university should focus, and if your university is doing this 6 and 7 activities, or 6 and 7 areas, activities in 6 or 7 areas, then you can proudly say that you are an entrepreneurial university. So what kind of activities or what kind of programs actually it is looking for generally in the entrepreneurial universities? It is around like generating entrepreneurial motivation. So if your institute is engaging in motivating, developing the cognitive skills and the attitude among the students and faculties, then I think you are satisfying the first criteria. If your university is also engaging in enhancing the entrepreneurial competency and the skill set among the students and faculties, then you are also then you are satisfying the second criteria. Then we have to know that, does our institute or the innovations universities, they support innovations, ideas, and the business startups in our universities? Also, our university engages in the commercializing the research results or the technologies and technology transfer, licensing to the industry, or the starting of the startups in the incubation unit. Then also we have to know that this is happening in our university or not. Then generating revenue. So what we are discussing so far is mostly in the spending on developing the ecosystem or nurturing the innovations and nurturing the startups. But also, if we will start getting revenue from the innovations and the startups, then I think it is the bit mature stage of the ecosystem. So generating revenue from the innovations developed in the institute, like you are getting licensing fee from the royalty or the licensing fee from the licensing of the technologies. If you are getting kind of a equity or the rental from the startups incubated in your incubation unit. So this kind of things, if you're getting kind of a consultancy in terms of for the startups, normal industry consultancy, many institutes they do, but I'm talking consultancy that is offering the services and mentorship support to the startups. Then strengthening the cooperation between the institution, the local firms, or the regional level. So these are the actually key areas of the parameters. If your institute is engaged and also doing some or more or less something, then we can say that our university is entrepreneurial in nature. But this OECD framework has categorized everything, at which level this kind of changes needs to be reflect into the 7 areas. The first one is called the leadership and the governance. So leadership and the governance level changes is the first thing every institute should start with, because actually the acceptance or the adoption of changes at the leadership level and the governance level, actually that helps in taking the guidelines or the policies to the stakeholders easily, and our students and the faculties, they follow that guidelines, and that helps in conducting and facilitating the kind of activities or an innovation and entrepreneurship activities in the campus. So leadership and governance, this is the first area where we should just look into to bring the changes. And actually who position at this level? Generally the top authorities, the vice chancellor, the registrar, the dean, directors, and the head of the institutes, they generally occupy this position. So orientation at the leadership level, top leadership level, actually helps in designing very conducive policies and the guidelines, and they will develop the mechanisms and also systems, so that this kind of entrepreneurship strategies will be adopted very quickly, and also it will reflect in terms of the activities of the programs at the ground. So this is the one, the leadership and governance. And the second one is called organizational capacity of the people and incentives. This is very, very critical, because the top leaders, if they are quite oriented with the innovation and entrepreneurship, they will formulate the policy and they will come up with the guidelines, but actually it will be not implemented and the result will not come from the ground. So far the people, those are vested with responsibility of implementing these policies and the guidelines, right? So, and the programs. So the capacity of the people, of the management team or the incubation team and the faculties also counts a lot. And in addition to that, the incentives, the rewards, the recognitions for these people, those are associated with this kind of conducting and driving the activities, then mentoring activities, then also those faculties or the students, they have started their startup, or they have patented any their technology, and that technology is now ready for the transferring. So if this kind of achievements done by these people, or their involvement in the driving the ecosystem, there should be some incentive. So we are going to discuss in detail. So this is also counts a lot. And the third category, or the third thrust area where the university should focus is on the teaching and learning. Actually, teaching and learning is the core of every higher educational institutions. Actually, there the core competence lies. So if they will bring some innovation in the terms of in terms of delivering the existing content, and also they will make changes, and they will include the courses on innovation, entrepreneurship, and intellectual property related matters, and a continuous upgradation of these teaching and learning methods. Actually, that will also trigger the students and the whole university fraternity to impart learning and teaching to the students, and also that helps in connect and attract the outside entrepreneurs to come and start their startups. The fourth one is called pathways for entrepreneurs. And actually, this pathways for entrepreneurs, it means it is a kind of a university's approach to motivate and stimulate the young minds to start thinking about the problem solving mindset, and putting them into experiential learning track through which they can able to identify the problem, they will devise the solution, and then they have to develop the innovation, the prototype, and then getting the support from the incubation unit, start their startup. So pathways for entrepreneurs says that what kind of facilities and support system and kind of mechanisms you've established in your ecosystem or in your institute, where you continuously motivate and stimulate the young minds, and to go through this value chain of the entrepreneurship development or innovation development, and finally they coming out as an innovator or is an entrepreneur. The fifth one, that is called the university and the the partnership with the external stakeholders, that is called with the startups, with the other institutions, business associations, industry associations, and government bodies to bring their expertise, to bring the external partners expertise and engage them with the students, so that our students will get maximum exposure. They will know the better information, what kind of resources, what kind of opportunities with which type of organization, and how they will acquire that, how they will leverage that opportunity. So this partnership actually plays a major role, where if university or institute has lack of certain infrastructure facility, they can fill that gap by partnering with other institutions where that kind of facility or infrastructure is there. So actually, this partnership and the relationship with the external stakeholders, that facilitates the knowledge exchange and also expert exchange, and providing a reference supports to the student innovators and the student entrepreneurs to get the support which is not available with the institute level. The sixth one is called university as a reach out to the beyond the boundary, right? So if being an educational institution, definitely internationalization should be there, but it is very difficult that Indian university or Indian education system has not opened up well with the global requirement. So in European countries, but it is mandatory that every institute should think beyond the boundary of the European Union and how they will reach out to the other countries. That's why it is a part. But in Indian context, we can say that what is the diversity and the representation of the students and the faculties in your institute from different states of the, because in India itself it's too much of diversified. So we have to see that what is the diversification or the diversified representation of the students and the faculties in our institutions, and also if institution has the capacity that to attract the foreign students to the campus, that comes under this this component. And once you are having all these 6 components, that the 7th component actually, which is integrate across all these components, that is called measuring the impact of the all initiatives and all the programs that we have discussed so far under different categories. And we have to see that actually, is it really generating the result? Is it actually creating the impact, or we are in the right track or not? So that is called the measuring the impact of the entrepreneurial university. So this is the whole structure and the guiding framework developed by OECD. OECD means there is a Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and European Commission, and this framework was started in 2012, and now it is standardized, and they've conducted more than 200 universities in the European Union. So let's discuss now that for the each one, and how we are going to quantify each category is very, very important. So from next slide onwards, I'm going to explain the questions that is addressing the leadership and governance requirement changes. And as a faculty, you have to ask yourself, is that question is actually applicable to your institute? If yes or no, if yes, then what is the value? If no, then give 0 value. Okay, let's start one by one. So the first is leadership and the governance. So this section or this category has the 5 components, or the 5 questions. The first question is called entrepreneurship is a major part of the university strategy. So ask yourself, does your university, this is at the top level, right? This is at the top level. So being a faculty, you ask that, does your top authorities of your university, when they discuss or when they plan anything, they give due importance to the entrepreneurship? Yes or no? If yes, up to what extent? Then also you can measure this one, that in your mission and vision, like when your institute promote the institute's phase, that they are promoting innovation and entrepreneurship as one of the tool, as a to reach out, to attract and to attract the new talents. If answer is yes, then give up to what extent, right? So this is a subjective, so you can't tell that exactly 4 means 4 is right, but actually it is a kind of perception level of yours. So you ask yourself that entrepreneurship is a major part of your university strategy or not. If yes, then what is the level? So I have explained that actually when it is university strategy means they are giving due importance to the innovation and entrepreneurship at the planning, at the formulation of the guideline, formulation of the strategy at the top level by the top authorities. Also, they use innovation and entrepreneurship or intellectual property as a core marketing tool or a communication tool to reach out to these potential students and faculties and attract them to join the institute. So this is the first question. Now comes to the second question. We have to ask, there is a commitment at the high level or the top authority to implementing the entrepreneurial strategy. That means when they formulate any policy related to innovation, entrepreneurship, or intellectual property, or they come up with any kind of guidelines. So what is the level of involvement, like representation of the top authorities to discuss and also accommodate the changes and make sure that this policy should get to the ground and implemented on time. So the commitment level we have to check of the top authorities. So all these questions belong for the top authorities only, but being a faculty we have to ask, actually it is happening in our university or not. So the third question, that university has a model for coordinating and integrating the entrepreneurial activities at all the level across the university. It means that when the top authorities they are oriented and also committed to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in the institute level, then we have to see that if our university has the different disciplines and the different department, is it only restrict to the only business department or the management department, or also the top authorities, they are saying that innovation, entrepreneurship, and the intellectual property, it should be adopted in all the departments. So there we can ask about that, we can actually know about actually our universities, the commitment is actually reflecting in the all the departments or not, right? So that this third question is that Also, we have to see that is our university has created any specific positions or the specific kind of a team related to like professor in entrepreneurship or department on entrepreneurship or something like there is a specific team to coordinate this kind of innovation and startup activities. For example, if your institute has developed the IIC, Institutions Innovation Council, so this is one of the indication that your institute is developed a institutions, set up a Institutions Innovation Council to coordinate with all the departments and measuring the activities and make sure that these activities will be attended by all the students and the faculties from all the departments. Similarly, for the question 2 and question 1, if your institute is developing or formulated any innovation and entrepreneurship policy or IPR policy at the institute level, and your top authorities are involved actively and proactively in devising that or formulating that policy and implementation of this policy. So you can ask these questions to yourself and you can give some certain value if you are getting if your answer is positive, that is yes. Next, the next fourth question is that faculties and the units have autonomy to act. That means as per the question 3, if institute or the university has assigned the roles and responsibility as per IIC or implementation of innovation and entrepreneurship policy, or have given any task to the incubation unit, does your university is providing enough freedom or autonomy to that particular department or the professor, those have acquired that position and given the responsibility to act that? So this is the question that we have to ask, that what kind of freedom or the autonomy we provide to implement these activities. Then the fifth one is called university is a driving force for entrepreneurship development in the wider regional, social, and community environment. That means whatever the activities or the planning you are doing, your institute is going beyond the boundary of the institute. You also conduct this kind of programs, or you take the entrepreneurship and innovations to the community, society, and also to the at the regional level or at the state level where you are operating. So all these 5 questions will actually give you the what is the agility level, what is the activeness level, what is the involvement level of the, and what kind of changes at the leadership level and the governance level to make your university entrepreneurial. So these are the essential components and falls under the leadership and the governance. Next, I think if you have answered your numbers, if you answered all these questions and total 50, you can make total value and you keep it with you. And this is not to disclose to anybody, even not to me. This is just for your sake of asking the questions and also getting certain value, and that will actually think in this direction. And in future, you can conduct some kind of brainstorming discussions within the top authorities or the kind of things, and you can plan that actually what things can be done towards bringing the agility and the changes under this leadership and the governance, if your university wants to establish themselves or itself as a entrepreneurial university. Now comes to the second category, that is called organizational capacity, people, and incentive. It has total 7 questions. So the first question is called universities' entrepreneurial objective are supported by a wide variety of funding sources, investment, including investment by external stakeholders. That means if your university has decided that they want to conduct the activities, programs, and also other related support services like setting up the incubation unit and all kind of any kind of infrastructure and supports at your institute level. So how your institute is going to mobilize the resources, so that you can check by just asking 1 or 2 questions, 1 or 2 things, that actually does your university or the incubation unit has a recipient of different schemes, grants, and from the various governments schemes under the innovation and entrepreneurship? So then you have to your answer is somewhat is yes, but actually up to what extent, then you have to ask yourself that how many such schemes are there in your institute. So if you know the answer, then you can answer this question. So that means to organize and to drive this ecosystem, university need lots of resources in terms of the financial, in terms of the investment support. And if your university or the departments and the units are able to manage these resources through partnership or through getting the grants from the different government schemes and the non-government schemes, or from the industry or from the alumni, or for all kind of things, that you can say that your university has moved one step in this establishing the organizational capacity to strengthen the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. The second question is called, the university has a sustainable financial strategy in place to support entrepreneurial development. So the first question asks about your financial mobilization ability from the different stakeholders. That means how many schemes, what type of schemes, and what is the kind of a fund kind of a funds type you have, like investment fund or the grant fund or the kind of a other type of gap funding things in your university. So this is comes under the first question. But the second question is asking that, is this system that we have developed is a short term or it's a long term? So if it is a long term, then you have to make sure that even though one scheme stops, then your efforts or your activities should not stop. So developing a financial strategy in place to support on a long term is the question mark. So generally under this National Innovation Startup Policy, we have suggested that every university should come up with a plan that at least they can allocate 1% of their budget towards promoting innovation and entrepreneurship activities, and they can use this fund, this contingency fund of 1% of the total annual budget on the heads, where actually they are not able to manage the resources from the outsides or from the other stakeholders. So that will be considered as the institute's own investment fund or institute's own fund to be utilized in the innovation and entrepreneurship activities. So accordingly, institute has to also come up with other financial strategies that by incubation units, they receive lots of funds, and also they start providing services and the supports to the startups. So kind of a revenue generation system also it has to be included. If your institute has streamlined all this financial strategy, then answer is yes. Then up to what extent also that you have to answer. It is again, there is no 100% right answer, but you have to tell that what is the approximately. If it is high, then you have to rate 7 or 6 or 7 or 8, or it is a bit low, then you can give 1 or 2 kind of things. Then the third question is that there are mechanisms in place for breaking down traditional boundaries and fostering new relationships, bringing internal stakeholders together and building synergies between them. So this is also another typical feature of Institutions Innovation Council that your institute has. So in the Institutions Innovation Council actually address this gap, because in many universities they have the incubation unit or they have the different departments with all kind of innovation and entrepreneurship infrastructure, but generally they run on an isolation basis. They generally never consider the other department, other students as a recipient or the beneficiary of the schemes. So general IIC tries to break down this isolation, and if your IIC is actually performing in that way, then your answer is yes. But this is not actually covers everything. In addition to IIC, also there is needs of lots of guidelines and the policies as part of the innovation and entrepreneurship policy of your institute has to also lay down. And if you have already laid down, then your answer is 3. For question 3, answer is yes, and you can give the value that what is the intensity level of this this integration or this intra institutional interaction. Then comes to the fourth one, the university is open to recruiting and engaging with individuals who have entrepreneurial attitudes and behaviors and experience. Generally what happens, universities, they prefer the PhD graduates and having some research experience, which is general conventional way of recruiting. But nowadays private universities and also the new universities, they lay down that they generally look for industry experience, and especially they encourage if somebody has a startup experience, or they have entrepreneurship experience, so that when they join as a faculty, they better connect with the industry. Also, they bring their expertise in process of inculcating the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship and pass this to the students. And also they helps in setting up the startups in the campus. So this is the one of the best way. I think this is the now it's emerging trends in IITs, also in other private universities and the deemed universities, that they are now quite open. They never restrict only, okay, UGC said that only this 1, 2, 3 things. Generally, it is applicable to the government universities, government institutions, but private universities, because of the decentralized way of and kind of a flexible system, they are also quite open to the recruiting and engaging the individuals having this kind of entrepreneurial attitude, behaviors, and experience. So if your institute has done something like on this and if initiated anything, then definitely the answer is yes. Then you have to give some value. If your institute has not this kind of policy or the initiative, then you have to give score 0. Now comes to the 5th question, that is called university invest in staff development to support its entrepreneurial agenda. So actually, this is the what university is spending or investing on the people's development, on the human resource development. So if your institute conduct and you send the faculties and the staff and the students to attend the training on innovation and entrepreneurship or intellectual property, and also they conduct the in-house training programs or faculty development programs, especially in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, and engage them and give some kind of a opportunities to practice and enhance their skill set, then this is the actually right thing for the institute, that they are in the right track of the entrepreneurial university creation. The 6th question is called, there are clear incentives and the rewards for the staff who actively support the university entrepreneurial agenda. That means those persons, faculty, staff, and student, those are associates with the institute, and they are contributing in terms of generation of the awareness on innovation entrepreneurship. They also drive the ecosystem activities like helping the taking the leadership and conducting innovation and entrepreneurship activities. Also, they engage like as a mentor to the prospective student entrepreneurs and the student innovators. Also, they start their entrepreneurship activities. In addition to the normal activities they have assigned, like teaching and learning and the research and administrative activities, then this type of students and faculties and the staff should be rewarded on regular basis, and there should be some like incentives, may or may not be the financial, maybe the non-financial incentives can be created. But if your institute has this kind of incentives and the reward systems to encourage the faculties and the students and staff, those involved in innovation and entrepreneurship activities, then also your university is fulfilling the criteria towards the being an entrepreneurial. Then the 7th question, that is university gives status and recognition to the other stakeholders who contribute to the university's entrepreneurial agenda. That means the 6th question is for the internal stakeholders, whereas the 7th question is for the external stakeholders. So this is the way they also develop a good bridge and the connection and the relationship with the outsiders. So this second category consisting of these 7 questions, and ask one by one. I hope you have also already asked yourself, and if your answer is something, you just make a tick or give some value, and out of 70 how much you received or how much you scored, that you can write down somewhere. No need to give to anybody, just you keep it with you, and in next time when the opportunity will come, you can discuss these questions in the brainstorm sessions, and you can devise that actually how you will develop, how you will enhance the score from 2. If you have scored 2 now, then 2 to 4 or 2 to a 6. So for that, what kind of activities, what kind of programs generally actually you need to conduct. Now comes to the 3rd one, that is called entrepreneurship development in teaching and learning. This is to the teaching and learning only. I'm not considering the extracurricular activities. This is the within or the in curricular activities or the curricular activities I'm going to explain. So the first question is called, university is structured in such way that it stimulates and supports the development of entrepreneurial mindset in the skill set. That means you have the elective courses, you have the core courses, you have the short-term certificate courses, all kind of things you have included in your curriculum, so that student, those will, irrespective of the discipline discipline they study, they will get they will go through this kind of programs, elective or major or minor programs on innovation or entrepreneurship, so that they will learn the different skills and the requirements for innovation and entrepreneurship. So if your university is offering this kind of major, minor or elective, short-term or credit courses or compulsory credit courses, then you can say that your university is in the right direction. Maybe it is not completely utilized, but it is just a beginning of that. Next, the second question is that staff take an entrepreneurial approach on teaching. Staff means teaching staff to teaching in all departments, promoting diversity and innovation in the teaching and learning. That means this actually fits about the multidisciplinary nature of the university. So if you have the different discipline, the sectors or the different units in your university, so are you promoting, does your university promote that one faculty from one department will get opportunity to teach in other departments or other courses, and student from the one discipline, they can also will, if they are interested, they can take the courses from the other discipline, like sociology, and can be taken by the engineering graduates, and the design thinking approach can be taken by the management graduate, though it's part of the engineering course, or project management for the both engineering and the management, and also the recent emerging technology and advanced technology courses like artificial intelligence. Then all these things, machine learning also can be given to the other disciplines. So if your institute is incubating one multidisciplinary approach, also providing the students to learn the different things offered by the different discipline, and if the faculty also getting opportunity to teach and transfer his or her expertise in the other disciplines. So this is the what you have to ask. If your institute has this kind of environment, then definitely it is the justice good starting point towards entrepreneurial university. The third question is called the behavior, the entrepreneurial behavior that is supported through the university experience. That means university actually engages the life cases. The university invites the guest, the university invite the startup practitioners, the university invite the patent attorney and the innovators, and they share, and this they allow these they allow the students and these practitioners to interact, and also they create the environment of active learning through this kind of experiential learning. That is actually question 3. So it starts from the stimulating at the it starts from the motivation and the stimulation level to the idea level, idea development and the startup development. So if your institute is inviting this kind of experts and the practitioners into the institute and conduct throughout the year, then I think also it is a humble beginning. So you can answer yes, and you rate that up to what, how many of these kind of activities you generally, or your university generally organize in the campus. So if it is kind of a if you're saying okay, in every month they're conducting, then you can give it is 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, something like that. It's up to you. So you feel that actually where your university should be scored. So I'm not going to tell actually what, then you just ask yourself and accordingly you give the score if you feel that answer is yes. Then the fourth question is called university validate the entrepreneurship learning outcomes. So what the teaching they impart, or what kind of course structure they develop, and where to deliver this content when they invite the practitioners and the experts from the outside. So actually they have to also validate that what through this learning and through this teaching, what comes out. So if your institute, if your university is also checking the enhancement of the skill set, enhancement of the mindset, and enhancement of the attitude and development of the attitude towards innovation and entrepreneurship, it is actually increasing or not by incorporating this kind of innovation and entrepreneurship course and courses in the curriculum, and bringing the experts and the core practitioners to deliver this kind of programs or this kind of classes. So the fifth question is on collaborating and engaging with the external stakeholders is the key component of teaching and learning development in an entrepreneurial university. Already I have explained. So if they are considering that, okay, 20, they only depend on the 10%, the outsiders, and total remain 90%, they depend on the existing faculty within the system, then it may not be the appropriate. So actually, what is the level of dependency on the external stakeholders, because they bring the real life situation, they bring the actually real the success or the failure experience of their own. So you have to think that at least 60% from the internal, or 50% from the internal, and 50% from the external, while delivering this kind of innovation and entrepreneurship activities, or the course and programs in your institute. The more will be the from the external stakeholders, there is a high chance of getting better kind of a better learning and the real life learnings. So comes to the sixth one, that is called research results are integrated into the entrepreneurship education and training. This is very, very important, because we conduct lots of research. Also, research being conducted by various institutions across the globe. So if we will not understand, if we will not adopt this result that is conducted by other institutions into the curriculum, then I think there is no meaning also, because we are just following the conventional way of designing the courses and delivering. So if somebody is saying that this way we can increase the learning, then we should start adopting that learning methodology, or the content, or the changes in the improvisation of content based on the research evidence from the other institutions or from the global knowledge library. So if your answer is yes for these questions, then you can start with 0 and you can give the value as you feel, and the total mark is allocated for this section is called 60. Now comes to the another section that is called pathways for entrepreneurship. So the university raises awareness of the value and importance of the developing entrepreneurial ability among the staff and student. So okay, maybe some technical setting. So this section, this pathways for entrepreneurship, it has 7 questions, and the first one is that awareness level. So for everything to start, if there is no awareness, if there is no information flow, proper information flow to our student and faculties and the staff, I think that's the first stumbling block to start or to build the whole empire or the ecosystem. So the first level is that universities should engage in raising the awareness on innovation and entrepreneurship among the staff, students, and the faculties. So, and for that, IIC is also one of the best example, but you should not restrict to the IIC, you have to start conducting other activities. That's why we have started including the self-driven category under the IIC, and that will actually enhance the scope to conduct the wide range of activities related to innovation and entrepreneurship and intellectual property throughout the year. And through that, consider that if your university has more than 1,000 students, you should aim that at least 10% to 20% of the students should get motivated every year. That means at least 200 to 300 students should participate and activated. They motivated in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, and they will start engaging in different activities. So the first level is that awareness creation. So ask yourself, if out of 1,000, or if at least 20 or 30% total students, they have raised the awareness on innovation, and they understand that is really important for them to imbibe, then I think your university is doing good job, and you can give value in this 0 to 10 scale. The second question is that university actively encourages individuals to become entrepreneurial. So once person is getting motivated, once they receive the awareness, and once they have the kind of information in their hand, then actually that helps them. If they will acquire the skill set, the ability, then they will start doing something. That means they start engaging in the innovation and entrepreneurship activities, which leads to generation of the innovation of the technology and also establishment of the startup. So you have to ask that, does your university actively encourages the individuals to start this startup, or do the innovation and file the patent, then get the incubation support, even if not at the institution, other institutions also. So like that, you ask yourself, and the third question is called the university provides opportunities to experience entrepreneurship. So this is the gap between learning, or the kind of a you receive the awareness, and before you start the venture, there is a process learning. There is a process where student or faculty will go through the phase of experiencing that they may get fail, because once they will only fail, only they will again stand up and they will start doing the another startup or another innovation. So this learning phase of failure and continuous failure in the development and the success, so this is called the experiential learning. And so if your university is providing internship opportunities in the startup, if your university is providing design thinking workshops, or if your university is providing like in Smart India Hackathon, students get support, the student get kind of a platform to choose the right problem or the problem of their interest, and they engage, they spend certain time in the team to develop the solution, then they represent. So if your institute is conducting this kind of hackathon activities, if your institute is conducting any kind of a boot camp or design thinking workshops, if they conduct the kind of a demo day kind of to pitch their startups on the business plans. So this is kind of, if you're providing this kind of opportunities, if you're providing startup in residency programs in your or entrepreneurship in residency programs in your campus, so this kind of experiential learning actually enrich and build the confidence of the students and the faculties, and even though they will fail, they never give up and they start the next venture, or they make a second attempt to develop the better one. So this kind of things also, culture and environment also needs to be developed in the universities. The fourth question is called university provides supports for individuals and groups to move from entrepreneurial ideas to action. So what I had explained so far. So all these about the pathways for entrepreneurship creation. The most important is called mentoring by the academics and the industry personals is available or not. So one way of providing mentorship support is that inviting the external stakeholders or mentors from the outside the institute, and on regular interval providing them interaction opportunity with the students, faculties, those are interested. But also we have to think about, by through the capacity building of our faculties, can we elevate them from a normal teacher to a mentor, and providing mentoring on the business idea and technology development. This is the what under IIC we are asking our institutions to nominate the faculties to go through this innovation ambassador training program. And also we have created provision that if how these faculties will also upgrade their knowledge on regular basis by attending the programs conducted by the various institutions in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship and intellectual property. So you can ask yourself that what kind of environment you have, do you actually get the opportunity to mentor the students, especially in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship or not, or this kind of programs are happening in your campus or not. Then the sixth question is called university facilitated access to the private financing for its potential entrepreneurs. So this is called connection with the angel investors, connection with the venture capital fund, connection with the financial institutions. So those startups or those innovations has crossed the phase of funding, grant support, and now they have reached a certain stage where now they need the investment rather than the grant. So if your institution, especially incubation unit in the universities, they play this role of connecting and inviting the angel investors, venture capitalists, and they allow the startups to pitch in front of them, so that they raise the fund, they raise the investment from this angel investment angel fund or the VC fund from the investors. So ask yourself that in the last 2 or 3 years when you have started this incubation unit in your campus, actually does your incubation unit has reached to this level of connecting the startups or the innovators with the investment agencies or not, right? So this is the way you can ask. And the seventh one is called this university provides access to the business incubation facilities. So what kind of business incubation facilities exist, and also what type of services you are offering. So if you're satisfied with the business incubation facilities and the services, and actually it really helping the students or the faculties or the entrepreneurs from the outside to come and start their business, then definitely you can give the score accordingly. But if at least it exists in the campus, some business incubation services, then you can start with 1 or 2 or 3 marks. Now comes to the best, that is partnership with the external stakeholders. It also has six components. So ask yourself that university is committed to collaborate and knowledge exchange with the industry, society, and the public sector. If you are doing on regular basis, then answer is yes. But what extent, that you have to answer by providing the certain values. And the second question, that is on university demonstrate active involvement in partnership. So that means only MOU is not enough. So if for the question 1 you are taking MOU, number of MOUs, number of collaborations as an indicator, for the question number 2 you have to ask yourself actually how many such MOUs are in practice, how many such MOUs are actually progressing now. So if actually these MOUs are progressing or these partnerships are progressing well, and then you can say that okay, the second question answer is yes, and assign the values how you feel that actually it is progressing well. So you can give the your values, and it may or may not be exactly true to the things, but actually when we will try to consolidate all these values, then we will get some median value, and which will give the right answer. Comes to the question 3, that is university has a strong links with the incubators, science park, and other external initiatives. So question number 1 and question number 2 with the other partners, the various partners, but question number 3 specifically tasked with the other incubation units or other research, like science park, research park, and where actually there is a transfer of the knowledges and the experience, and bringing their expertise and connecting our students and faculties, those are interested to get for next level of support with the science park and the incubation units. The fourth question is on the university provides opportunities for staff and students to take part in entrepreneurial activities with business with the business or external environment. That means this is called reference. So consider that you identified 20 and 30 student innovators and the 3 or 4 startups, but actually your support system is limited there, but you can't offer beyond certain things. Then in that case, if you have the partnership, you have the collaboration with other incubators, then you can refer them, you can link these startups or the innovations you have identified. Those need next level of support or mentoring support, they can go and they can take the support. So this kind of collaborations also required, and this kind of opportunities, activities also need to be conducted throughout the year, and but it should be very planned way. It should be conducted, not the ad hoc and haphazard manner. Then the fifth question is that universities specifically support the staff and student mobility between academia and external environment. That means you are encouraging the students to go and attend the programs and participate in the competitions outside the institute, and also within the institute itself, also between the two departments or between the two disciplines, they form a team. So interdisciplinary teams, and they come and interact in the incubation unit, and they form a team, or they participate in the competitions. So this kind of things are existing in your campus or not. So that is also one of the best way. This is one of the best way to measure that actually what is the vibrancy level of our ecosystem exist in the campus. Then university links research, education, and industry activities together with affect the whole knowledge system. So this is a kind of a knowledge ecosystem creation, and there are 6 questions, and each question carries 10 marks. So ask your questions if your institute is having something at least fulfilling or certain criteria, or have done something activities in these areas, then you can start with 0, and accordingly based on the intensity level of the activities and programs, you start scoring, and you can give a consolidated score under this for this category. So this is the one. Actually, internationalization is actually more applicable for the European universities, but Indian context we can correlate and we can connect with the other states. So internationalization is a key part of your university entrepreneurial strategies. Here also you have to say that how best located in the MP or Madhya Pradesh, and how you are connected with the other states or the other at the state level and also at the national level ecosystem, that you have to ask. And the second one is called university explicitly support the international mobility of its staff and student. So here you have to see that actually the faculty representation from the different geographies and the student representation from the different geographies, and how you are also allowing your students to take certain courses in other institutions located in the different geographies. So the university seeks and attract international and entrepreneurial staff. Definitely you can the university can measure its potential in this context also. Now I think being a private university, university have the more freedom to recruit and also engage this kind of individuals for teaching, for research, and for PhD. So what level of such integration is exist in your campus, that will also give a best indication of moving for entrepreneurial university. The fourth question is called university demonstrate internationalization in its approach to teaching. So generally I will say that actually at present in India, international students, they are coming, the inflow of the foreign students to Indian higher education institutions is less, but still there are few number of institutions, they start receiving the international students. And if your institute is getting the international students to your institute, and or your students, they are going to the outside also, you can consider that your institute is fulfilling the requirement or the fulfilling the certain criteria of this entrepreneurial university scorecard. Then university and its department and faculties actively participate in international networks. That means your representation in different international forum like international programs or competitions or the seminars, that you have to count. Then these 6 categories what I've explained, actually it is for the different thrust areas towards establishing this entrepreneurial university and academic entrepreneurship. But the 7th one is more actually integrated and apply across all these six categories. So university has to measure the impact at the leadership and the governance level. So university, if your university assess the impact of the strategy developed at the leadership and the governance level, and they are also responsive to change the any kind of improvement or the development, then you can say that okay, your university is quite responsive, and also they are adopting the market according to the market changes or the market requirement. If your university assesses the level of engagement in entrepreneurial teaching and learning, that means the course and content, that what is on the innovation and entrepreneurship or other courses, if they are revising on regular basis, if they are trying to adopt, or if they are making changes as per the industry requirement, or making our student as an industry leader, then I think that's also one of the indicator. And university regularly assess the impact of entrepreneurship teaching and learning. So one is called the course and content. See, the course and content, what you have developed, how it is delivered, how it is actually addressing the need of the student is one requirement. But once it is delivered, then how it is creating the change in the individual level, that is a different one. What it is called the third question. So second question is on the deliver of the content and the content and the delivery of the content, whereas the third question is on that once the content is delivered through the effective way, what kind of improvements or the changes or the impact they see in the individual or the students in the faculties. So this is the called measurement at the impact level. Then university carries out the regular monitoring and evaluation of the university's knowledge and exchange activities. This is more on the when institute collaborate with the outsiders, so they check that what is the progress rate, what is the effective rate of or efficiency level of the progress or the collaborations. So they measure the knowledge generation and the knowledge generation from the research, whereas the fifth one is from the startup support. So if your incubation unit is set up, and in the last 3 to 4 years, every year your university should know about actually what is the number of startups they supported and what these startups are actually doing. Actually, once they graduate from the incubation unit, actually these startups are surviving or not, and also we have to track them, that actually what kind of impact these startups are creating in the community. So we have to also measure at that level. So this is all about the 7 categories, and next 10 minutes I'm going to talk only about the different programs at Ministry of Education, which is quite already familiar with you all, but I'm just going to in very briefly about this program, so that you will come to know that actually Ministry of Education and Government of India is actually doing all these initiatives, and it is already part of it, but your university has adopted it or not, that's a question mark. I can't tell that up to what extent it is adopted, but I know that your university has won IIC, and your university is participating in Atal ranking of institution on innovation achievement. Also, your university is part of National Innovation Startup Policy implementation. So this NISP, that National Innovation Startup Policy, actually gives lots of guidance, and there's valuable guidance to the universities that to design a very customized innovation and entrepreneurship policy for the institutions, where student, faculty and staff will get motivated, also will get opportunity to get engaged and practice and set up the venture. Also, this NISP provide guidelines to the incubation unit of the institute, that what should be kind of support facilities they can offer, and what should be the mechanism for revenue sharing, ownership of for the technology developed at the institute level, and engagement of the faculties in incubation, and engagement of faculties and students in the startup activities. So this NISP provide handholding supports to the institutions to design a very customized and very contextual innovation and entrepreneurship policy at the institute level. And this policy, along with the IIC team, the Institutional Innovation Council team present at the institute. So these two teams, they have to combine, they have to work together and make sure that the objective or the goal or the objective set under the policy formulation, and the targets and the milestones they set to achieve in the stipulated time period, it has to be implemented, also achieved by the IIC team of the institute, and they can align the activities of the self-driven, MIC-driven, and self-driven, the IC calendar-driven with the activities explained in the policy, innovation and entrepreneurship policy of the institute, and accordingly, so that they will minimize the efforts to organize the activities. Also, they will maximize the resource mobilization. And once it is in action, then it has to be everything has to be measured, as I have explained, that every activity, every approach at each and every stages, it has to be measured, and that should reflect in terms of the policy impact creation, and the values that you are going to measure. It can feed into the Atal ranking of institutions on innovation achievement framework, and that will actually, the participation in ARIA will make sure that you will come to know about the ecosystem that exists in your campus, actually in which component you are good, in which component you need bit more push, in which component actually you are weak, and accordingly you will plan your action accordingly, and you will also channelize your resources and engage the manpower, so that you will improve upon your weak points, and fill the gap. And finally, the ultimate objective is to produce more innovation to entrepreneurs. So this is all about things, and I'm not going to touch about the different thrust areas. What I have explained in the OECD framework, almost most of the things, even very detailed manner, and also further subcategorization we created under NISP. And the NISP, actually, we've taken a lot of things from the OECD framework, because that is a standardized framework already in operation in European Union. And we have then contextualized and also developed added more components, and we came up with NISP, National Innovation Startup Policy. I hope you are already aware about different norms, and we have I think the sessions are already there in the YouTube, or many of you have already attended the NISP training program. So I'm not going to touch, but it touch upon all the things what I've explained so far in the form of questions I've asked. this is the auto ranking framework. Actually, auto ranking framework also, we have designed a very broad 9 broad parameters and 48 indicators. And through that also, your university, once they will start implementing the NISP and IIC, and they have to measure the activities and the progress and the achievements. And this information then will get into the ARIA framework, and it will actually help you to classify the whole ecosystem into 9 broad parameters and with 48 indicators. And that will help that in which indicator you are poor, and in which indicator you are weak, in which indicator you are strong. And you can compare your progress from the previous year to every year to year. And also you can measure your progress with the at the state level, at the national level ecosystem, and you can set the target accordingly in your innovation and entrepreneurship policy document. So this is all about the entrepreneurial university and academic entrepreneurship, the components and how you're going to do it, and also a self-assessment tools I have explained, and also various policy initiatives at the Ministry of Education, Innovation Cell, like NISP, IIC, ARIA, and how these programs are interrelated, integrated, and also helping each other to make our higher educational institutions more entrepreneurial. That is what I have explained. So with this, I will stop my presentation, and now for next 10 to 15 minutes, I will take few questions from your side.
Thank you so much, sir, to guide all of us about university and academic entrepreneurship. I hope all our participants get benefited with today's session. Now session is open for question and answer round. Participant, you can ask the question.
Sir, I have one question. We are conducting many programs based on webinar, expert talk, workshops and all. But still we are facing the challenge that the students are not coming up in a good amount with the startups and all. So like, what's your suggestions, like how to motivate more them so that or if they comes, then also the sincerity and dedication is lacking in them. So
okay,
yes, sir.
so is it over? Then I will speak.
Yes, sir. So that's what we are trying our best
See,
to
first
create
you have
awareness.
to see, like for the university like Medicap, how many students you have in your campus?
Sir, approximately 7,000. We are running with many courses, engineering,
How many
agriculture,
courses?
farms.
How many courses you have?
Sir, approximately 19 courses.
See, first thing is that, and how many faculties you have?
We have 350 plus faculty members.
See, let me just assume that for your university, the market is 7,000 students, 350
Yes.
faculties, and also I hope around 400 something or 500 or 1,000 staff. So this is your base, right? Actually, the entrepreneurs and the innovators will come from there only. So if your 7,000 is the total student base, and they are the quite more receptive compared to the faculties, and if you will start providing supports to faculties, then also faculty will come to that category of starting the entrepreneurship. What faculty play three type of role. The first, the top authorities, the faculties, they play the role of designing the policy or coming up with the mechanisms and guidelines, whereas the mid-level professors, those are into the activities, or they actually ensure that the strategy will get implemented in the at the respective department level, especially HOD level professors. Then the next category of professor, actually they make sure that what policy comes from the top, they make sure that it implement on time, and also it implement effectively, also generate the result. So there are three category of faculties, and the bottom level of the faculty category, what I've explained, actually they involve as a to conduct the activity, also they involve in mentorship, also they involve as an entrepreneur. So now what the things actually Medicap university should start focusing, that they have to identify out of the 7,000 how many students are actually know innovation and entrepreneurship, and how many faculties actually know innovation and entrepreneurship as an important alternative career option. This is a question you have to ask, that how many students, how many faculties they can take innovation or entrepreneurship like startup as an important alternative career option. That means if answer is no for major, that means the awareness level, the motivation level, the stimulation level is lacking. So when you have no base of the awareness, stimulation and the motivation, then whatever the activity you will conduct in your institute, that will actually, it is a kind of a waste of the resources, because they will not able to understand, or by forcefully they will go and attend, but they will not able to actually understand the digest the purpose for which that event is organized or that program is organized. So if you think that out of 7,000 ages, at least 20 to 30% students should involve, that means out of 7,000, at least 1,000 students you should know that actually they, if the answer is yes. So after conducting the series of at least 5, 6 or 10 or 15, 20 activities at the best level, that is, you should talk them about, see this startup, see this startup founders, see, go and interact with the innovators, and invite the person who have filed the patent or who have obtained the patent, who has done the commercialization. All these things, if you bring these people to your campus, or you will conduct the sessions, and you have to conduct the problem identification and problem design thinking workshops, ideation workshops, business plan development workshops, then actually from there, if you conduct multiple activities, these people will start able to digest the concept, because sometimes the terminologies we use, they're never able to digest in one go. So like that, if they will get multiple exposure opportunities, and also from experiential learning, like if you will put them into some practice kind of a we will send them to the kind of any startup or incubation unit, and we will conduct certain activities so that they will learn these things, tools and practices. Through that, if you will get at least 1,000 to 2,000 people, those actually have the awareness, then it is very easy that from this 1,000 you will get 10 startups or the 5 startups by in next 1 to 2 years. So you have to think that the value chain, it is there. The first is the awareness level, next is called motivation, because once you will feed the information continuously, they will get motivated. Then you have to connect with the successful entrepreneurs and the role models and mentorship support. Then they will start gradually from ideation to prototype to innovation, then business model development, then startup. So we can't expect conducting one activity and we will get that we will expect that they will startups will come from a campus. It never happens. It will take at least 3 to 4 years time. So if you have started last year or 2 years back, then you have to wait for another 3 years, but you have to keep your efforts continue, so that you will start creating the ground. The more and the base will be strengthened, then it is very easy, that because it is a pyramid structure, right? If you will train 1,000, if you will motivate 2,000, or if you will create awareness for 3,000, you will get 1,000 motivated, and from that 1,000, 500 will start doing some ideation. From 500, 200 will get business model, and from 200, 10 or 15 or 20 will get into the startup, and from that 20 or 5 or 6 will be get successful. So this is the kind of a pyramid structure is there. So accordingly, your effort, your involvement, and your structure should be your resource allocation also accordingly you have to allocate. Then only you will achieve, and it will take time. Don't expect that you will conduct 5, 6 activities and you will get the result in 1 year or 2 years. It will take 5 to 6 years time if you will strategize whole thing.
Ji sir. Thank you so very much, sir. We are going in the same direction, whatever you have suggested, and we are doing it rigorously and trying that at least 1 or 2 events in a week to conduct. And we are doing it, but the things are going in a very slow pace. And as you said,
See,
that it will take time.
this can be speed up if your top authorities, they will involve in the formulation of the strategy and policy and guidelines. Then that will give a strong message to the whole system. And also you have to be responsive, regular interaction with the student and bringing their feedback and the faculty's feedback to further improvising the policy, guidelines, strategy. Then this is the process. Actually, it should be continuous process. Then only you will able to speed up the whole process, right?
Ji sir, sure sir, we will take your suggestions in a very positive way and we will definitely do it in a coming time, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. Any other questions?
Sir, there is one question from my side.
Yes, please.
Sir, can we run some courses, short-term courses, like we are running for 3-year courses or 4-year courses? So can we run a course like 2-year course specifically on this particular entrepreneurship and
Yes,
innovation?
yes. You see, that your university, you should ask to your university authority first. And
Yeah,
if your university authority is saying yes, that means they are quite oriented. If they are saying no, that means they are not oriented towards the innovation and entrepreneurship. So this question should ask to the university, because you are a private university, self-finance university, and you have more authority to start this kind of courses, and you need and you can offer as a elective or a core or as a and if you need kind of accreditation, you have to go through the approval process kind of things. And it is, the process is quite proven. So definitely you can initiate these kind of things, but include always the practitioners, the core practitioners, or the actually the industry people, or the startup people, or the those have actually those have the actual experience of delivering it, so that then only this content will go effectively. Neither if you will design something and then the regular teaching staff, those have no experience in the entrepreneurship and innovation, they will start delivering, then student will only will take like that only as a kind of a regular classroom.
right.
So it has to be mix of, and simultaneously also we have to build. So I'm not saying completely remove. So if 50% you should engage your internal faculty and 50% you should rely outside, and slowly your internal faculty also develop the capability and the training, and maybe after 2 or 3 years your internal faculty will take the major chunk, and you will start relying on the outside faculty or the outside experts less. So this is the way you have to build up your in-house capacity also.
Okay. So we are already running 2 courses, 2 electives rather, and that in collaboration with Wadhwani Foundation. So that is basic of entrepreneurship and advanced entrepreneurship. So students are participating in that courses. So
see, generally what happen, university, what we do, because we understand bit less, so most of the time we outsource it, or we think that okay, you come and do. But actually my understanding and my experience is that always take a control on it, always try to put yourself into that, put yourself in the shoes of others, right? Then maybe in the early time you will get some challenge and the difficulties, but slowly you will acquire that skill set and the knowledge, right? And that will actually help you to understand so much dynamics that actually not known to the others. When you will outsource, then I think they knows it and they are taking the wisdom, right? They are not, that wisdom is actually with them, it never pass on to us. So whatever the programs you design, actually you should have equal contribution and the equal roles and responsibility, rather than passing out the major part to them. Wadhwani, okay, Wadhwani, they have the expertise, they will come and do. But actually, can we take also certain things? If they will take 70%, can we take the 30% of the burden of the delivering the content or designing the content, or involve associating the designing the content? So in that way, actually, we will learn so many things, right?
okay, sir.
Any
okay,
question?
sir.
Thank you, sir. So dear participants, feedback link is shared in the chat box. Kindly fill the feedback form. Now I invite Professor Sanjay Jathar for vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon to one and all. It was indeed a wonderful session. I, Sanjay Jathar, member MIIC, present here to deliver vote of thanks to all those who have contributed to this webinar. Entrepreneurship is today's buzzword and the need of the hour. To improve the GDP of the country and to meet the PM Modi's dream to make the country's economy $5 trillion economy, educational institutes will have to gear up to promote entrepreneurship amongst the students. Today, we are fortunate to have Mr. Dipen Sahu as a key speaker who enlightened us with many important concepts like academic entrepreneurship, model of academic entrepreneurship, the guiding framework for the entrepreneurial universities by OECD, He also very well discussed 7 different categories of questions to evaluate to what extent our university is practicing and encouraging entrepreneurship. It discussed each of these in very descriptive way. I, on behalf of Medicaps University and Medicaps Innovative and Incubation Center, thanks Mr. Sahu for enlightening us by sharing his valuable concepts on entrepreneurship in academic institutions. On behalf of Medicaps Innovation and Incubation Center, I sincerely thanks Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. D.K. Patnaik for his guidance and motivation to organize this event. His vision inspires us to work hard consistently. I sincerely thanks Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. D.K. Panda for his gracious presence and words of motivation for the event. Thanks to Dr. Pradyuman Yadav, Registrar Medicaps University, for his all-round support and providing the facilities for smooth conduction of this webinar. Thanks to Dr. Sarita Kansal, Professor in charge MIIC, and Professor Ram Janam Singh, Head eCell, for all their support to organize this webinar. I also sincerely thanks all the members of MIIC for their support. Sincere thanks to Mr. Surikant Soni, Ms. Payal Somani, and Mr. Gajendra Singh for their regular backend support. And at last, but not the least, special thanks to all the participants, faculty members, whose presence made this webinar interactive and encouraged us to organize such events in future also. With this, we come to the end of this webinar. Thanks, Mr. Dipen Sahu, once again for sparing your valuable time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all.
Thank you so much, sir. So we are winding up the meeting here.
Sure.
Thanks to all. Stay safe and keep learning. Thanks.